Hello and welcome to Crypto Weeklies. In this video, we analyze MicroStrategy, conduct this machine learning based price forecast, as well as retirement related model update. None of the content is financial advice. Let's get started. Right now, the price of one MicroStrategy share, which is a proxy for Bitcoin, they primarily hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. The price of one stock is at around $328. Again, this stock is highly correlated with Bitcoin. The 20-week simple moving average for the MSTR is coming in at around $340. Again, none of the content financial advice. And the 21-week EMA is at around $303. So the price is in at close to the midpoint of this 21 week EMA and 20 week SMA. Whereas if you look at Bitcoin, which is again the guideline for this MSTR stock, as it's a function of Bitcoin's price and its momentum, as well as the NAV premium at which MicroStrategy trades on its Bitcoin holding. Again, they started buying Bitcoin August 2020. You can see that since that purchase, the price of MSTR took a big turn from under $13 when they started making the purchase, and now at one point up by about 4,000%. Whereas Bitcoin from that point out of time, from August of 2020, if we look at August 2020, the price back then was at around June, July, over here, somewhere over here in August, 11,000. So Bitcoin is up by about 800%. So if we take a price from here, so that would be 8x, that is around 980% growth from August lows to at one point the top that Bitcoin had at around $109,000, $109,000. So peak from that Bitcoin purchase that MicroStrategy had, Bitcoin itself grew by about 980% from that point to the latest peak, whereas MicroStrategy did essentially a 4x of what Bitcoin did. So it's kind of evident that whenever Bitcoin starts turning bullish, MicroStrategy is outpaces Bitcoin in that bullishness, whereas the opposite is also true. When Bitcoin starts dropping again, that is when Bitcoin dropped from 94k to about 80k. MicroStrategy from that point dropped again, started dropping quite early on, from $550 to essentially a half of that at around 220, more less than half of that at around $229. Whereas Bitcoin did not have a 50% drop on its on its USD pair. Again, you can see from $109,000 to roughly speaking $77,000. That's not a 50% drop. You can check over here. So comparing MicroStrategy drop from the November highs to the March or March lows, the drop was 56%, whereas for Bitcoin the drop was at around 28%. So again, has a leveraged move to upside, as well as a downside, greater uncertainty on the downside. So right now, again, the price for a MicroStrategy comes close to the 20-week moving average, close to the midpoint of that range, whereas Bitcoin is at the bottom of the range between the 21-week exponential moving average and the 20-week simple moving average. So that's where we are in terms of the MicroStrategy machine learning price forecast since they started buying Bitcoin. Again, that's August of 2020 when they bought their first Bitcoin. Over here, we are tracking the price using the machine learning model at a weekly average level, and asking it what could be the next 6 months price forecast using seasonal ARIMA, LSTM and XGBoost machine learning algorithm developed in-house. These techniques, although the algorithms are standardized, their interpretation is conducted using experiments conducted in-house. Again, so if you like these machine learning based forecasts and or analyses, please give us a like and subscribe. Thousands of hours went into creating these models, and as well as the website for it. The website is on the bottom of your screen, cryptoweeklies.com. It's free for all. and you don't have to pay or sign up for anything. All the charts get updated every 24 hours and are almost always live. So per this model, in the next 6 months, the price of MicroStrategy, which is again dependent on the price of Bitcoin, if Bitcoin has a favorable quarter 2 and quarter 3, um, in the next 6 months, again we are coming at the close of the first quarter, that is in March of 2025. In the next 6 months per this model, if the in the bullish phase, the price of MSTR could be between $340 to, roughly speaking, at around $640. So about a 2x from the current price of about 320 $7, and double of that would be at around 650. Again, that's August 2023, August 3rd of 2025. Price forecasted at around $637. Again, there is a dip forecasted towards the end of the month of August. On the other hand, if the recent high um, that we are currently gearing towards in March of 2025 is lower than January 2025 high at around $373, and again, if that series of lower highs and lower lows continues in the next 6 months, that is, the price could have a support in that bearish market between $155 and $275. So that's the price forecast for MSTR. Again, it's available over here. This is the home page of cryptoweeklies.com. Not just MicroStrategy, most of the top 100 cryptos and on their Bitcoin pair and ETH pair are available for analysis over here. The regression based analysis for MicroStrategy, since they started accumulating Bitcoin, is available on this model, the DCA model, where the fair value of the MicroStrategy stock is analyzed since they started purchasing Bitcoin. And whenever the price was significantly lower than the fair value regression line, the color codes are of a cooler shades, that is purple, blue, or sky blue, or green. And as the price gets heated, heated with respect to the regression based fair value, the color codes shift from yellow to orange and then to red again. In November 2024, per this analysis, the risk level were fairly overheated at around 80% towards the end of this orange zone. So if we get rid of the middle territory, so just for DCA in and out purposes, if the hypothesis is accumulate MicroStrategy stock when the risks are less than 20%. Again, these are the blue and the purple shaded region. This model identifies them using regression as polynomial regression as a framework, and you can see that this is the fair value regression line, which is a polynomial regression function trained on the daily price action and estimating the fair value based on 4 degrees of freedom that are used to identify what could be a fair value. But this again, interpretation of this model is that whenever the risk, again you can go even more risk covers and only DCA where the risk associated with accumulation is less than 10%. So essentially this purple zone, and the opposite of that is whenever the risks are greater than 60%. Again, this is a highly volatile stock. Again, this stock is dependent on Bitcoin's price and the NAV premium, which is a function of the Bitcoin's bullish phases of the market cycle. It has an accelerated premium when Bitcoin is in bullish phase. So again, DCA, with respect to the DCA out of the market, again, is in any time per this model, interpretation of this model, again not financial advice, whenever the risk levels are higher than 60%, or if you can even go slightly lower, whenever the risk levels are higher than 50%, this model does identify a short-term peak. Again, whenever this is in green color, it could be a false positive with respect to the with respect to the medium-term peak, but again identifies the short-term peak when we are in between 50 to 60% risk. Any time above 60% risk, that is from yellow onwards, the colors they do identify a moderate time period peak, like they did back in March, April of 2024, as well as back in November of 2024. Again, if the hypothesis is that right now, again, the recent print on the risk levels is somewhere between 30 to 40% at 39% risk per the model. not too long ago, that is first week or early second week of March, when the price was at around $230, that risk levels were less than 20%. So you can follow along on this model. Again, this model gets updated every day. If the hypothesis is that in the that MicroStrategy does have one more rally back to the 50 to 60% risk, or slightly higher than that, what could be a theoretical price per this model? It says that price between $370 and about $422, that would be considered a moderate peak for MicroStrategy. Whereas if the prices were to go any at any point between $440 and essentially $540, that's the higher end of the peak. If you want to take a median value, that could be somewhere between $475 and $490. So that's how this regression lines play out. Again, if you want to add 2 standard deviation residual to the upside, you get this dotted red line, above which, again, if you apply this framework, you essentially start identify the blow off top phase of the market. This currently comes at around $450, coincides with the uh, zero point 0.7 risk, with 0.75 risk, or that is 75% risk at this point in time. So that is one target for MicroStrategy based on regression analysis. The opposite of this is also true. Whenever the prices are one standard deviation residual, that is close to this dotted green line or slightly below this dotted green line, I'll get rid of other lines for more clarity. You are essentially identifying the best value zones for accumulating MicroStrategy per this model. Again, we did come close to the dotted green line back in February and early March of 2025. So again, these models are live every single day. You don't have to wait for a video on YouTube or such. You can use and conduct your own analysis using these models to identify if MSTR is in a good phase or not in a good phase, just using one of these input. Again, no models are right every single time, or none of the content again being financial advice, but again, the models can be used to identify, at least avoid buying at the worst time and selling at the worst time. The MicroStrategy as a retirement or the stock of MicroStrategy as a retirement vehicle comes with a great deal of risk. Again, there is no such thing as a sure thing, especially when the stock is so highly correlated with crypto, which is a highly volatile asset. But if you kind of want to tune out the noise and say that over the next 15 years or so, the price of Bitcoin would have a bullish phase, and MicroStrategy being a highly levered play on Bitcoin, if Bitcoin were to grow with a compound annual growth rate of, let's say, 30-35%, MicroStrategy being a slightly higher risk play of over Bitcoin, that could be slightly more bullish than Bitcoin. So if you follow along since Bitcoin since 2020, let's say, the growth of Bitcoin grew in 2020 by about 300%. In 2021 grew by about 57%. In 2022, again, this was a bear market year, declined by about 65%. In 2023, up by about 150%. In 2024, up by about 111%. So if you want to simulate what MicroStrategy could do in that framework, again, essentially one bear market year where the price declines by about 50%. Again, if the price grows in the non-bear market, 3 non-bear market years, by 45%, again, the decline could be similar at around 50-55%, like we saw for Bitcoin, roughly speaking, up by about 100%, but declining by in that bear market year once every 4 years, at about 60-65%. Again, you can check only if you are interested only the bear market performance of Bitcoin, get rid of the other years, the 2022, and potentially again 2018 was this purple line, about 75% drop. In 2022, 65% drop. Potentially in 2026, 4 years later, down by about 50% from whatever price we find at around end of 2025. So simulating MicroStrategy at around tuning out the noise, saying that in the bear market years price do drop by about 50%, but in the next 3 years, which would be the bullish phases for Bitcoin, the price increments by about 45%. In that simulated environment, just by tuning out the noise, we can use this compound annual growth rate based model with the simulated bear market decline. The price of MicroStrategy right now again comes at, if the end of 2025 closes at around $760, then again, bear market bottom could be at 380, close to the current price, 2029, with 3 years of growth behind it, peaks at around $1,100 or so, in 2033 around $1,700, and 2037 at around $2,600, and in 2040 at around $2,800. In this environment, the amount of MicroStrategy stocks needed to be a MicroStrategy millionaire, again, if prices go to the target at around $700 for this year, the amount of stock needed to be a millionaire would be around 1,300 MicroStrategy shares. Make you a millionaire in 2025 with that price target. In 2029, around 860 shares of MicroStrategy with that growth makes a millionaire. In 2030, around 565. In 2037, about 370, and in 2040, about 350 shares of MSTR gets you to that millionaire status, provided Bitcoin grows at around, roughly speaking, 30% year-over-year CAGR. MicroStrategy outpaces it by 15%, around 45% CAGR, with the bear market bottoms, which slightly pronounced bear market bottoms for MicroStrategy compared to Bitcoin at around 50%. So this model again available for Bitcoin as well as MicroStrategy. So check them out at your leisure. And with all of that, we can conclude this video by saying that although the price action right now is bleak, the key levels to look for MicroStrategy, definitely the $341 level. If prices stay above the 20-week and the 21-week exponential moving average, and have a meaningful rally which is higher than the $405 rally which we had back in the late January of 2025, then the structure of the of the price action with continuous lower highs and lower lows could potentially break to the upside. If the trend continues, the bear market bottom between $225 and $155, that was the target that we discussed per the machine learning based model. And with that, I would like to conclude the video. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please give us a like and subscribe, and hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.